Dude, I've got to take a enormous shit.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Tether Radio podcast, the only podcast keeping you from spiraling out into the infinite abyss. My name's Daniel, and I'm going to be your host, joined as always by my brother and co-host, Joseph.
What's going on? How the hell are you, dude? Sounds like you had maybe a trying week.
Yeah, it was a slightly long week due to the fact that our beautiful baby boy, Finn, decided to go to daycare for 2 days and then immediately get sick and require us to keep him out of daycare for a week, which I don't know. Any listeners out there that have children know exactly what I'm talking about. A sick child is absolutely one of the worst things that you can come across, because they're just super needy, constantly crying. Especially at this age, they can't tell you like what's wrong, why they're crying. So it's just like, do you want water? Are you hungry? But anyway, so this illness has caused Finn to have a super, super runny and stuffy nose. So yeah, we decided to, sorry, let me write this down real quick. But anyway, so we decided to employ this device that one of our buddies gave us when Finn was born, and it literally sucks snot out of their nose and into like a little chamber. And like, dude.
And then do you fertilize plants with it? What happens on the back end?
We normally froth it and use it for lattes.
Nice. It's the way to do it, dude.
No, dude, it is kind of foul, to be honest. But what's even more foul, in my opinion, and I'm not hating on anybody that has used one of these things, but it's called a nose Frida. And literally what it is it's like a siphon that you stick in your kid's nose, and you're like literally inhaling and sucking, like manually sucking the snot out into like another canister.
Well, that's a really detailed description there. Could you help us out with some sound effects to accompany that, you dick?
How disgusting is that, though?
I mean, it's necessary, I guess, right? These little bastards have no idea how to do it, right? They have no idea how to
blow their nose and stuff. Yeah, well, man, honestly, we just try to catch him after he's sneezed, so that like it's just like everywhere, and then we just like have a wet wipe ready. So
again, thank you for that. It's fucking awesome, man.
But anyway, so
wait
you
for a picture.
Hey, yeah.
Quick question for you. Because I know that last week we ran a little bit over, and so I wanted to just touch on this briefly. Mm. So we had last week we ran.
It was about $1.40.
Yeah, we ran a little bit behind, but we had a note on Red Dead 2, Dead Redemption 2, and the videos being deleted for violence against suffragette women, right?
Yeah.
Or, whatever, these virtual suffragette women that are on there.
Mm-hmm.
And so I wanted you just to like take, and I'm not going to, give an opinion on this, but just take like 5 minutes and give people kind of a walkthrough on that, because one of the podcasts of which, to which you listen to fairly regularly, I do occasionally, covered it, and have a lot of respect for the guys over at No Agenda. And so just wanted you to touch on it real briefly, because I think this is it's just an interesting cultural touchstone here, and some of our readers may, or excuse me, some of our listeners may not have heard about it. So just break this off, just 5 minutes here.
Sure.
And that's this is internal code here, but that's line 29 if you want to reference it real quickly.
Okay, so I will go ahead and pull that up. So yeah,
sorry to put you on the spot.
No, you're good, dude.
I thought people dig this.
Yeah. So I pulled this article actually from Game Rant, who normally they do pretty well covering like the game industry and stuff. But I thought it was kind of interesting because within the game of Red Dead Redemption 2, of which I am currently playing, and it's amazing, and I would totally recommend any gamer out there to pick up a copy. But anyway, so you get to a certain place, and it's or within the game, and it's like a bustling city that's like, you know, whatever, developed, I guess, more than what you would think of as the Wild West, I guess. Mm-hmm. So we're talking like late 1800s, and so there's a lady that's just like an NPC or non-player character. For the uninitiated, and she's kind of just spouting off about.
So wait, what exactly is an NPC? They're just like walking around.
Yeah, it's just people that you can interact with within the game, and it's but there's not. Well, it's a non-player character, so it's not being controlled by anybody.
Right.
Except it's just AI, like internal game AI kind of thing. And so what they did with Red Dead Redemption 2, kind of different from the first one, is you can basically respond to NPCs and like either antagonize them, try to diffuse a situation, greet them, just stuff like that. Well, if you go over to this suffragette woman that's got like a little standing placard kind of thing, you know, because she's trying to I guess advocate women's rights to vote kind of thing. Well, you can go over and antagonize the hell out of her and get some kind of funny dialogue, or what people have done and recorded is just like beating the hell out of this woman or whatever. So, it got to the point to where people would go over, record it, and then they were uploading it to the videos to YouTube. Well, it got a decent bit of attention, and YouTube ended up starting to pull the videos and like and not necessarily like put out bans or anything, but like just basically saying that the videos were they were violating their like terms and conditions, or like, you know, it was I don't know, inciting violence or something along those lines. And so they ended up pulling all these videos and even blocking like some channels and shutting down the channels. Well, apparently it got to the point to where people were like, hey, this is kind of ridiculous. It's a video game, you know, blah, blah, blah. And so, they ended up, putting the videos back up. YouTube did.
Right.
And it was very, and basically what they did is they put the videos back up and then put like a little whatever
disclaimer.
Well, not only a disclaimer, but like a thing that it's like, oh, you have to say that you're like 18 to watch it or something like that, you know?
Right.
Which, yeah. What is that? That deters no one.
Right.
YouTube, if you're listening, that deters no one. So.
Right.
But no, it was a very, fascinating development in my opinion, because, it was just one of these things that, I mean, I guess, yeah, I see where they're coming from, but it's also like, at what point did we get to a point in history that like, I don't feel like we can like laugh at ourselves anymore. I feel like everything is just taken so incredibly seriously. I mean, we're talking about a video game, you know? Mm-hmm. And I mean, like, this stuff, this is not new. I mean, like, dude, you reference, like the Grand Theft Auto series. You can do some pretty terrible stuff in those games. And I guarantee you people have done it and put videos up of it.
Right.
And so it's just, I guess we're in a very pivotal part of history in regards to just, especially, with the Me Too movement and like, violence against women, mainly. And I think that it was just kind of like a hot topic kind of thing. And so people kept flagging it for inappropriate, and YouTube had to do something about it. But I don't know. I mean, like, what are your thoughts on this? Do you think it was, do you think it should have been pulled? Do you think that they were right in putting it back up? Like, I mean, what do you think?
Yeah. So thank you for this synopsis. And I'll answer that in just a second. I think that I appreciate that. I just wanted everyone to have some kind of a touch point on this topic, because I thought it was really interesting. We did get an opportunity to cover it last week. So I will say there are many kind of there are many angles of approach, I think, when trying to break this down. But in a nutshell, we are in a time when a lot of things that have been just kind of like encapsulated in morality or whatever are being reassessed. Maybe not even encapsulated in morality, like layers of tradition, layers of maybe not tradition, maybe tradition's not the right word, but just kind of we have continued to do the same thing because we have continued to do the same thing, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like, we have these social movements that have popped up, some of which are very good, some of which feel a little bit misdirected, some of which are absurd, right? And so with Me Too in particular, I mean, like, you're not going to meet a lot of people that are going to say, women shouldn't have a voice, and
totally.
And if something goes down, we shouldn't support the victims of these terrible crimes. I mean, of course, but I think that I don't know, man. We just don't. It's just, I don't know exactly how to express this actually, and because this was kind of, we didn't plan this. We just brought this article up, or I just brought this article up, at the beginning of this. But in a nutshell, I guess the way that I would say it is that there seemed to be some sort of tectonic shift happening where the way like lots is being kind of doubled back on, lots of ideas are being doubled back on, most should be doubled back on. We should continue to test assumptions as society, like not why, it's not about why there is a disproportionate number of, for example, black men in jail. It's not about that. Right. It's about what leads to that? Like, is there a dearth of economic opportunity? Is it a situation, which I saw this the other day, and I this kind of blew my mind thinking about this, but the fact that depending on who you are, you may be worth more to society incarcerated. I'm saying in terms of dollars and cents. You may be worth more incarcerated than not incarcerated,
because it's like and correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm trying to, I guess, what you're saying basically is like, okay, for instance, you would be paying X amount in like taxes or something,
correct,
not incarcerated, or if you're incarcerated, you're included in the head count for getting funding for the prison from the government.
Yes.
Kind of something along those lines.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. So you were worth more to a company incarcerated, which is fucking crazy to think about, right? But so my point is that like these assumptions should be questioned, but I think that we're still learning to use the tools that didn't seem like tools of reality, even like 10 years ago. Like there was some novel element to the internet still. And now the internet is and that level of connectivity is reality.
Yeah.
Like hard fucking stop, man. Like, I mean, people want to, trivialize, and I think we're actually going to get into this, and then, I'll make this comment and turn it back over to you, and then we can move on. But
sure.
People want to trivialize things like Instagram and Snapchat, and and I mean, people aren't trivializing Facebook anymore, I guess, but and just pretend like that this is just like a frivolous add-on or whatever to what people do in their daily lives, but it's become an integral part of people's daily lives. And with something like Instagram in particular, which we'll be covering today, some interesting commentary on that platform. I mean, people use it to sell millions of dollars of merchandise, right? And so the point of me saying this is I read this article the other day, and somebody was like, look, like, people just need to wake up. Like, these platforms, they are not a place just to come and flick stupid comments out without any repercussions. Like, they are becoming important, if they haven't already become important aspects of the way that people live their lives generally. So I think that's it in a nutshell, right? We need to question these crazy assumptions for sure. Like, the pendulum is swinging. People don't really know, or understand the repercussions of this technology. But fuck, man, like, to censor videos like that is fucking insane. First of all, second of all, even though I do like Twitter a lot, that's probably the social media platform that I use the most. They really need to get their shit together, because this whole thing of being a nanny for the way that people communicate is fucking absurd. And if anybody feels uncomfortable about anything, instead of that person kind of pursuing a different path or whatever, instead the originator of the offending content should have their mouth taped shut. Like, that's absurd. Just absurd. And people say some nasty shit, but that's just absurd. So anyway, that's it in a nutshell. I just wanted to circle back up on that because I thought it was a really, really interesting, nuanced kind of continuation of some conversation we've been having over the past couple of episodes, getting into the Alex Jones stuff and all that. That
umbrella of censorship.
Well, fuck.
Kind of.
Alex Jones is an edge case, right?
Yeah.
Red Dead Redemption 2 videos are not a fucking edge case, and that's my point.
Yeah.
Is that you remember in Jurassic Park when he's looking over to the raptor pen and he's they're always testing the fences or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, dude, I mean, this shit is a constant tug of war back and forth. And man, whether you believe it or not, you want opposing views. You want things that shock you. It's good because it keeps you off center and it helps you understand exactly what you stand for. Anyway, I didn't want this to go that deep, and we've taken 20 minutes on it. But dude, okay, so we typically start fairly lighthearted, right? So break us off a little piece of what the fuck was happening in West Virginia with what do they call these things? Trash pandas?
The trash pandas, yeah, dude. I pulled this article from just a local ABC affiliate, I guess, or I guess local to West Virginia, and they were saying that they were having the police department in Milton, West Virginia, kept getting phone calls about these raccoons that were acting really, really, really weird. And like staggering around and just people were thinking, they were basically reporting rabid wild animals.
Or behavior of
what they thought were that.
Yeah.
And so the police apprehend a couple of these, I want to just call them trash pandas again, a couple of these raccoons, man, and found out that they were just intoxicated. And what had happened is the crab apples had that the raccoons were eating had fermented to the point of, they had an alcohol content. And these raccoons had pounded a bunch of these crab apples and then got drunk. And so yeah, dude, it's just pretty awesome because apparently this actually wasn't this wasn't like the first time, I guess intoxicated animals had been reported or whatever, because you get a little bit further down into the article, and apparently in Minnesota, there were these birds that were flying into windows, cars, and staggering down streets. And so what had happened was the birds, there had been a early frost, and so they were local berries that had died and started fermenting, and the birds had just like pounded a bunch of those and were drunk, and so they were just like flying under the influence, I guess. But so this is exactly how alcohol was invented, by the way. Oh yeah, totally.
You know what I mean?
That doesn't surprise me in the least.
Humans were like, man, these things are acting so fucking weird. We should eat some of those and see what happens.
Yeah. Either that or like, when food supplies were short, I'm sure they were trying to stretch out, their fruits and vegetables to the point to where it was like they were partially fermented, and they're like, man.
I love thinking about stuff like that.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
These things that have just kind of, have become pervasive, to like just absolute, central fixtures of humanity.
Yeah.
And the way that we've gotten here was that, or the way that we got there was that, some cave woman or whatever was like, going back to the grain chamber or whatever, snacked on an apple and got wasted. It's amazing. So this next article is badass.
I thought it was pretty incredible, to be honest.
It's pretty badass. Yeah. So this is to do with Japan's Minister of Cybersecurity, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So I pulled this one. So I pulled this one from CNBC. And I just thought it was absolutely incredible in this day and age that anyone could make this make this statement, I guess, and not people or think that people weren't going to laugh at you. But anyway, so yeah, this article was called Japan's Minister of Cybersecurity admits he never used a computer. He's never used a computer.
Mm-hmm.
So this dude's 68, okay, and he was recently
Yoshitaka Sakurada.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. That sounds about right.
Yep.
But he was recently appointed. He had still been working, I guess, within the sector of technology and all of that, but recently was appointed to be the Minister of Cybersecurity for Japan. Mm-hmm. And so they were doing a Q&A, and during that, the guy goes, "I don't use computers because since I was 25, I've been in a position of authority where secretaries and employees handle such tasks for me." So this dude, 68, has clearly been in the industry for 43 years. Okay.
Yeah, I might put that in a slightly different way.
Okay.
Has not been in the industry, right? And
the other thing, real quick, they were talking about during the Q&A, they were talking about somehow a USB drive was brought up, and dude, they said that he acted like kind of confused by the concept of what a USB drive was.
Yeah. So this is the reason that I dig this article is because this is precisely I mean, it sounds in 2018. It sounds fucking absurd.
Yeah,
that someone could be in a position of power like that and have no idea about this technology. But I would suggest that like 30, 40 years ago, particularly in cultures like Japan, and obviously today, in cultures like Japan, that there's this idea that, you know, authority kind of trumps, you know, functional knowledge or whatever, right? And so it's like you could be king and have like no idea what it takes to be, you know, the jester, and who fucking cares or whatever.
Or have
you know?
no idea what actually runs the, you know, how the kingdom is run.
Works. Yeah,
you
that's
know?
exactly right. And whether it's divine provenance or whatever the fuck, right?
Yeah.
Like you're in this position, and that's the way that it rolls. But it's the thing I dig about this is that it's shocking because of where we are with technology, right? Like, I mean, we're doing this podcast over computers. You have the ability, if you have the functional knowledge, you have the technology literally at your fingertips to build fucking anything. Anything, right? Malicious code that like breaks, you know, crazy industrial, you know, computers that control train lines or build the next social app or build, you know, I'm just being obviously giving extreme, you know, examples here.
For sure.
But that is what's wild. And so I think that, you know, characters like this, dude, fucking no more. Like you're just not gonna see this. You're just not gonna see these people be around. So, you know.
Well, and I think
know what a computer was. And I mean, this guy sounds generally incompetent, though. Let me just quote at the end. So the other thing is that like, he, correct me if I'm wrong here, because I was just scanning parts of this article, but he is somehow involved with like the Olympic Committee. What was this? Let's see. So he, so they were talking about hackers, and they were getting him to, you know, to explain kind of the policy on hackers. And then, this is what it was. So he's a minister. So he is generally exposed to larger questions that are asked to the rest of the ministry, right? And so they said, in this article, they say, his Luddite tendencies aside, Sakurada has also struggled to master the Olympic brief less than 2 years before the Olympic Games in Tokyo. So they were like asking him about, you know, the Olympic brief. He said he was unaware of the report. An aide intervened, and he quickly corrected himself, claiming to officials that he had indeed been briefed. And then they said, well, how much funding from the central government would contribute to the 2020 Olympics? He responded, 1,500 yen, which works out to just over $13. Some way below the actual sum of 150 billion yen.
So, he was just missing a few zeros.
Maybe this guy was just having a bad fucking day.
Yeah.
Like,
that is incredible.
Yeah, 1,500 yen. So I don't know. Maybe he's just skews incompetent. Well, you know, who knows? But
that's
all right.
awesome.
So this next one, we were talking a little bit about Me Too here, and this next one is kind of mind bending. I mean, you know, file it squarely, and you can't make this shit up. You can't make this shit up, right? Yeah. So Michael Avenatti, who is the attorney for Stormy Daniels. Stormy Daniels is the porn star that was. I guess that received a payoff of some sort from Trump.
Yeah.
To
kind of as an NDA or something.
Yeah, she signed an NDA and said that she wasn't going to talk about their relationship, and instead she did. And she was like, wrote an article or wrote a book or something where she, like, you know, not only did she talk in depth about the relationship, but she got into like all kinds of like weird shit, like detailed descriptions of his dick and just like really bizarre shit. But I mean, you know, whatever. It's like we're living in, you know, maybe political end times right now. I don't really know exactly what the fuck's going on. But so Michael Avenatti was her attorney, and he was like kind of positioning. I mean, I'm so skeptical of and cynical in general of these fuckers, especially high profile attorneys from LA.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing that with Michael Avenatti was didn't he said that an accuser of Kavanaugh had come to him, right?
Yeah, that's
at some point. At least.
Yeah, that's right. That's
so
right.
He was definitely in the deep in the I guess I don't know, sexual violence and like you said, Me Too and all.
Yeah, he was definitely positioning.
Yeah.
Right. He was definitely positioning just to be like a celebrity attorney.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is not crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Right. It's definitely not crazy that. I mean, that's how some people make a fucking living. Like Gloria Allred, like, fuck, who's this guy? There's another guy that's become Benjamin Crutton, I think is his name.
Uh-huh.
I actually think he's out of Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
Benjamin Crutton. I'm gonna look this up real quick. But he's like a guy that's like a civil rights attorney,
mm-hmm.
Who kept. It might be Benjamin Crump, maybe. Anyway, civil rights attorney who, actually, Daniel, can you look this up while I'm going through?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm looking for the attorney that represented, the families of Trayvon and Michael Brown. But anyway, I think it's Benjamin Crump or Benjamin Crutton. But anyway, so it's like. You've got an issue that is extremely important, like extremely important, like
Crump.
Society is Benjamin Crump.
Yep.
And so we're having like this, like, I don't know, it's just important things need to be decided and sorted out, and then you've got these guys and gals that like hop in and are just treat it like theater, and that's really unfortunate, because they're.
Well, it's like ambulance chasers, kind of.
It's at least disingenuous, and at most it's just fucking gross. It's just nasty. It's just really, really nasty, and in some ways, I think an abuse of power and station. And so Michael Avenatti was like a guy who's kind of positioning like that. Again, if somebody comes forward in the Me Too movement in Hollywood and they need an attorney and they get one, and that attorney has their face plastered all over media trying to seek justice, great, dude, great. But this guy was like, it was just interesting. It was interesting the way that he handled the whole situation. So anyway, he was advocating for, got to believe the accuser, of course, which, by the way, is not I don't have a problem with that at all. I think you absolutely should come from a place that, like,
well, dude, that's why we have due process,
right? But that these are serious allegations, and so we should investigate these serious allegations as if they are, there is truth behind them, right? And come from that place. But ultimately, it's due process and kind of the whole kind of series of steps that you work through are set up such that, well, then this is just a different description of due process, but that it is incumbent on the accuser to make sure that they prove the case, right? And so Michael Avenatti gets fucking accused. This is from November 15th, so this past week, of domestic violence, right? Beating his fucking wife up. Like, what in the fuck?
Well, so I don't know if they actually know who the accuser is at this point, because they thought that it was his
wife.
His wife,
oh,
but
like a girlfriend.
Well, they basically said that like a bunch of people have come out and by a bunch of people I mean like his, because I think that he's, you know, I can't remember how many wives he's had, at least 2, but
okay.
But the previous his first wife said that, you know, no, this, you know, it wasn't us. He was just, you know, he's a really nice guy, whatever. I never saw him or I never saw him be violent with anyone, and you know, and so I don't know if they actually know who the accuser is at this point. Because I mean, the court date's I think in December. So
interesting. Okay, so then now Avenatti comes out,
yeah,
and he's like, "Man, you know, we got to make sure that this is you know, the due process is fully implemented." You know? And so it's just like this sounds ridiculous, and I'll flick it over to you after this. Yeah. I don't have a problem with somebody feeling like due process shouldn't be implemented. Mm-hmm. Like, if that's your opinion, I don't have a problem with that. You know, like, you're entitled to your opinion. If you say, no, absolutely, due process is bullshit, and it doesn't make any sense, and we should only, you know, we should take an accuser, whether it's Me Too or anything else, we should just take it at face value, and we should just march forward. I really do not have a problem with that. And if you can get enough people in line to change the legal system, do it.
Yeah. Like,
that is the nature, should be, I hope, the nature of democracy, right?
Yeah.
But that's not what this is. This is like the fucking narrative that is convenient is told, you know? Yeah. And so
that is the world that we live in right now.
So. Well, and it's just this like whiplash of like, no, you gotta, this is like,
well, no, that was last week that I thought that. Now this is this week.
Yeah, and then the, you know, upon return from the whiplash or whatever, you know, there is this. Well, I mean, we just need to let this play out. It's like, okay. Yeah. So anyway, he is accused, and we will see what happens. I think what's really shitty about this, really, really shitty about the entire, like, things like this unfolding, is it discounts people who are actually fucking telling the truth.
100%.
You know, dude. And so there are heinous fucking crimes that happen all the time, right? And there are people that don't choose to make them, like, instead of pursuing cheap Twitter justice, right? You know, you have people that are telling the truth, are kind of being, you know, more, I guess, what's the word I'm looking for here? More appropriate, more.
Well, just I guess going about it not in a sensationalized way, kind of thing.
Yeah,
right?
more discreet about how they're approaching this, and then those people get shit on when you know, assholes like this choose to make a career out of sensationalism. You know.
Yeah.
Anyway, any thoughts here before we move on?
No, it's just like you said, man. You know, you put the shoe on the other foot, and it's funny how somebody's opinion will completely change. You know, it's just like somebody that thinks that, you know, everybody that whatever commits some particular crime, they should be killed until one of their relatives does that. And then they should, you know, be tried, and, you know, they think that the death penalty is too much or something, you know?
Absolutely.
And it's one of those things that's not how law works. I think that we probably could arrive at a, better middle ground in this whole like, accuser versus the accused. And, but I don't know exactly, 'cause like you said, I mean, I completely agree with you. You know, if someone actually committed these acts, that's terrible, and they should be tried, and, you know, everything should play out like it should, like our the law system was created, you know,
or better yet, currently operates, right? So if due process, and we're just like playing devil's advocate here for a second, right?
Yeah. Like,
I think due process is incredibly important, but if there is a rationale to reassess due process in the face of information, or in the context of information traveling faster, right? Within the context of social media and the internet and whatever. And people want to go to the ballot box, and overturn and mold and shape and whatever laws to be more reflective of, the place that society is in. Which again, I don't think anything should change. Well, I'm sure if we dug deep enough, some things should be tweaked and changed and updated. But my point is that if people feel like that, then let's do it. Let's put the fucking gloves on. Let's roll the sleeves up. Yeah. Let's have these conversations and let's address the deeper issue. But that's not. But
that's the other thing is, like you said, let's have that conversation. As soon as you start that conversation, especially in public forums, I mean, you're immediately like a woman hater, or you're a misogynist, or
Yeah, but you know what? Yeah, go ahead.
Well, no, I was just gonna say. I mean, that's why I think that's one of the big problems. Taking a little step back, just in regards to like social media and all of that. That it's like, dude, people, you can't have those conversations on those platforms, or at least currently, because
you gotta have them in a certain way.
Yeah, well,
you gotta,
which is silly to me. So.
And I don't disagree with that, but you got to soldier on, right? Because if you really feel a certain way, and you can, there are exceptions here for sure, but I'm saying like something that I think a lot of people are working through in this and kind of current political climate, right? How can you present something and do it in a way where, yes, you will incite some sort of backlash, but that backlash is commensurate with the thought you're trying to push forward. And I guess I'll give you an example, right? Like, if I say we should believe accusers, right? And we should not go through due process. And I work for somebody who's super conservative. No, I don't think I should lose my fucking job for that. Yeah. No way.
For
no
opining
way.
On a situation.
Absolutely no way. But that's not why people lose their job. And I'm giving the counter example, right? Because obviously I believe in due process and whatever. But people that make an AIDS joke, and then and this happened a few years ago, and this lady gets off this plane and she's like, there's been this Twitter firestorm, and she's just been like ruthlessly gutted, right, over this AIDS joke, which again, she was in marketing or PR or something. Like, you should fucking know better, right? What are you doing? So it's like these companies, I don't believe these companies are, they're not putting like a moral cop hat on and and passing judgment in that way. I think what they're doing, then this is fucking super obvious, I'm stating the obvious here, is just saying, look, we don't need this shit. You know what I mean? Like, that's it. Like, we're not we've got people that are going to come to us and say, do you support, or disapprove of this message? And it's like, we're just not going to deal with this shit because we have people that won't do that. So it's like, I think that's what's problematic is that, man, everybody's just looking for something to rage against right now.
We live in a rage culture, man.
But I think it's indicative of a much, much larger and deeper problem. Which is that tip of the iceberg here, but that people are not accustomed to hearing counterpoints. They're not accustomed to hearing things that they don't believe in. Again, because things like the internet, particularly the internet, its structure is not there to give you things that are necessarily good for you. It's there to give you things that you'll buy. Hard fucking stop. Yeah. Right? All the education in the world, and this is a quote by this guy, Naval Ravikant, right? Who's like a Silicon Valley kind of guru dude. He's a little in some ways he's kind of cast as like almost a religious figure in some ways. He's definitely like the intellectual, shaman or whatever. Yeah. But this is something that he has opined on numerous times, and it's just that yeah, man, I don't know, I lost my train of thought, but it's just that having this crazy backlash on social, it's just cheap justice and it's silly and whatever, and guys like Avenatti take advantage of that. And now we'll see what pans out here, but
which this is actually perfect because we can transition to this next article, because this guy actually was saved. This guy was actually saved for exactly, but I'll go ahead and get into this one. But so this the article was pulled from a KVUE, which is an affiliate in an ABC affiliate in Austin, Texas, I believe. That looks right. So anyway, so this guy, I'm actually just going to read the first couple lines of this article because I thought it's kind of powerful. But the morning of September 22nd, 2017, Christopher Procopia went to work at a lumber yard in Georgetown. By the end of the day, he was in jail facing 99 years in prison, but he didn't know why. Why had police come to his work and arrested him? Why was he being accused of these horrible crimes? Who was accusing him? So the story actually comes out, and basically a previous girlfriend of Mr. Procopia's accused him of breaking into her house and using a box cutter to cut an X, basically like right around her like clavicle or her collarbone. And sorry,
and this is and you said Williamson County. This is Texas.
Yeah.
Okay.
So anyway, he finds out that it was his high school girlfriend that the two dated, but it was like years earlier. They say in the article several years, so I would take that as at least probably 5 or 4 or 5 or more kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So now, because this woman came out and accused him of this, he was facing a felony charge of burglary of a habitation with the intent to commit other crimes. This cat was his bail was posted at $150,000, $150,000. And so his folks paid it and got him out and immediately like lawyered up, and they started looking into it because, I mean, like this dude, I feel so bad for this guy because I can't even imagine being accused of something, and it just being a completely and blatant fabrication, because that's exactly how this played out. Now, the interesting part is how they were actually able to prove it. So, according to the girlfriend, she said it happened on September 20th at around September 20th of 2017 at around 7:20 p.m. Mm-hmm. So thank God this dude, he was with his mom, and they knew for a fact that they were together at a Northwest Austin hotel about 65 miles from the accuser's home. So not only do you have the distance thing playing in your favor of 65 miles, but he had taken a selfie and posted it to Facebook. The Facebook selfie was time-stamped and geolocated. So it was completely like, basically it was 100% irrefutable, an irrefutable alibi for him. Mm-hmm. And so it was very fascinating how the police responded to this, because normally, you're going to have an accusation, and then there's going to be some kind of time given to the accused to basically say, hey, you know, we're going to do like a pre-interview kind of thing to see if you have any viable alibi, you know, and then we can look into that and then go from there kind of thing. Because, I mean, dude, our legal system doesn't function like this, even though it's supposed to. But man, it's supposed to be innocent until proven guilty. Period.
So what was her motivation for this?
And that's the thing, dude. Is like according to this, he has no idea. Like they had a bad relationship back then.
Okay.
And so it ended, but that's kind of the only thing that was said about it, is that they had and to quote the article, his accuser told police that the two had a troubled relationship when they dated in high school several years ago. And she cited that as a reason she reported that he assaulted her. So, what? You know?
Right.
It's
right.
like... Anyway, and the other thing that kind of gets me, it grinds my gears, let me put it that way. This woman took it upon herself to wrongfully accuse him, and literally fabricate this lie, okay? This cat, had he not had this photo, we can say he potentially would have been serving 99 years in prison, okay? 99 years. At the end of the article, as an editor note, they say KVUE is not identifying Prokopia's accuser because she hasn't been charged with a crime. How the fuck is that not a crime?
Yeah. I mean, well, he would have to charge, the state would have to charge her, or he would have to charge her, right? Or excuse me, the state would have to decide to press charges, or he would have to press charges.
But I mean, like, so is it not illegal to like call 911 when it's not an emergency?
So it is.
You know what I'm saying?
So it is, but there's a step in between, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Like if you assault me, that was illegal. But if I choose not to press charges, then you're not going to get. There will be no legal repercussions, right? So it's like. So what's wild about this is that, so no, there's not like an automatic penalty. But I think that in a situation like this, if it's a case of a false accusation, absolutely, this person should be outed. 100%. 100%. There was a guy in Long Beach, California. I don't know if you ever heard about this case, but who was a high school like standout athlete, right? And this classmate of his, this girl at this high school, accused him of rape, and this fucking guy went to jail, dude, for like 10 years, something crazy, or 8 years. Let me look this up real quickly. You know, he was being recruited by college teams. He was, I mean, she just derailed his life is not accurate. She absolutely destroyed his life. And I think in that case, there were legal actions kind of taken against her, but, you know, just because she was pissed at this guy for something. So, again,
Brian Banks, is that right?
Brian Banks, that's who it was. Yeah, Brian Banks. And does it mention how long he was in jail?
Yeah. So it looks like he. Sorry, scanning it real quick.
It was like 8 years.
So he faced the possibility of 41 years to a life sentence. I don't know. It doesn't actually say. It didn't pop out like.
Yeah. But, so it was just, you know, so it was crazy. But I mean, I think that if you know, if somebody is accused and
here we go. Sorry. More than 5 years in prison and 5 years on strict custody parole.
Right.
And then his conviction was overturned in 2012 after his accuser admitted she had fabricated the entire story.
And then it says, woman who falsely claimed Brian Banks raped her will now have to pay the school district where she claimed the rape occurred, right?
Yeah.
And so she was ordered to pay, which is just so fucking absurd, $2.6 million. Like, this person does not have $2.6 million. Ain't going to happen. So, but it's just, you know, if you make some shit up, I mean, it's like,
my question would be, okay, so she's still out there, and she's just basically going to be paying, you know, whatever, some percentage of that money before she dies. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
She's not going to prison. She's not going to jail. She's not, you know, I completely and utterly disagree with how the wrongfully accused are treated. Let me put it that way.
It is crazy. It is crazy, man. But there are a lot of people that are incarcerated right now under some fucking, very bizarre, loose kind of circumstances. I mean,
no, you're right.
That's one of the things that's been, that's always, when I think about this, it just fucking makes me shudder, man. Imagine being accused of something. And dude, there are a lot of people in this situation, right? And frankly, and this is probably a conversation for a different cast here, but we touched a little bit earlier on people being worth more, some people being worth more incarcerated. I'm saying worth more dollars, right?
Yeah.
Incarcerated than free, which just blew my fucking mind to think about. And but you think about this, right? Like, if you're in some town and maybe you do have the wrong skin color, or maybe you just have the wrong fucking last name, right? Or maybe you know, you catch an LAPD or NYPD or fucking Seattle PD, or pick one officer on a weird day, and they decide that they're gonna pull you over and throw a bag of meth in the floorboard.
Yeah.
How the fuck are you gonna disprove that?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it doesn't matter. And once you're in the fucking meat grinder, dude, that's it.
Yeah.
Like, there's no like, you know, because every year that passes, you know, the world moves on, and your case becomes less important, and people's lives move on. I mean, there's like, just quickly, and then we'll hop over to this next Instagram piece, but so there's this guy named Ross Ulbricht, right? Who was the founder of the Silk Road, right?
Founder of what?
Silk Road.
I'm not familiar with that.
So the Silk Road was an illicit marketplace powered by Bitcoin in like 2000. 8, 9, 10 kind of range, right? 12. And this guy, Ross Ulbricht, which actually, you know what, we'll add this to our big episode that we've got coming up here before the end of the year, the conspiracy stuff, because I think this is people might dig this one. We'll add something along these lines to it. But basically, in 2015, he got arrested. He's serving a double life sentence plus 40 years because they're saying that he hired tried to hire contract killers on this platform to knock some people off. And it's like, dude, who the fuck knows? Like, who knows if that's really what happened? I mean, sure, they have like evidence or whatever, but who the fuck knows? Yeah. I mean, you have situations like you know, the guy from Defense Distributed, right? Who, you know, is accused of illicit sexual contact with a 16-year-old. I mean, probably happened, maybe happened, kind of happened, didn't happen at all. I fucking have no idea. Yeah. You know, and so, but once you're in that grinder, dude, you're done. Like, you're not, you know, you get somebody who just decides that, like, you know, Bitcoin doesn't need to be around in the case of, you know, Ross Ulbricht or whatever. And that's it. Like, if it's a judge or whoever, like, you just don't have, there's good fucking luck. That's it.
Well, money drives this this world.
Yeah, man, and it's
that's kind of the big picture right there. So
yeah, it's pretty crazy. And we should definitely dive into that, because I think a lot of hot button topics that could come out of that. Like I said, crazy incarceration rates of black men is definitely one. It's shit like Ross Ulbricht, shit like, political prisoners. I mean, there's some real bizarre shit when you start like peeling the layers back on the justice system. But okay, so this next article is about the attrition of employees at Instagram, right? Did you see this a couple weeks ago? The founders of Instagram left Facebook.
Stepped away. Yeah.
Did you see that?
Yep. I'm telling you, dude. People don't realize how fucking toxic social media is.
Yeah. They don't at all. And
but anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, they don't at all. It's kind of crazy. And so these guys, Kevin Systrom and Mike Krieger, who were the guys that started Instagram, stepped away from Facebook. And so now there have been a couple of different folks that have left Instagram. Most recently is this person named Bailey Richardson, right? And so Bailey, so she was one of the first 13 employees in this company, right? Facebook bought Instagram for $1 billion in 2012. These folks have been there since 2012. Bailey Richardson actually left the company in 2014. I'm misquoting that. But the point is that now people are like looking back on this platform, and and they're not looking back on it fondly at all, right?
Yeah.
And the quote that really stuck out from this article, which obviously we've got this, we'll have this posted on show notes, is that she says, "It feels like we're all addicted to a drug that doesn't get us high anymore," right?
Yeah.
And
so real quick, one other quote that was that's also in the article. This actually jumped out at me just crazy. So you've got this lady, Bailey. What would you say her last name was?
Bailey Richardson.
So she was interviewed by the Washington Post, and her and others from a group that were being interviewed basically came to the conclusion that, and they were quoted as saying, "The sense of intimacy, artistry, and discovery that defined early Instagram and led to its success has given way to a celebrity-driven marketplace that's engineered to sap users' time and attention at the cost of their well-being."
Yes, hard stop.
Holy shit!
And that is fucking what's going down. I mean, here's what's crazy though. Social media is laying bare shit that has been around since the dawn of humanity. I mean, we're in a position where alcohol is a fucking poison. It is poisonous to human beings. Yeah. And it is marketed at the highest levels at the biggest events, at whatever. And we like the effect of poisoning ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that is, at a chemical level what's happening, right?
And it's so funny, like saying that, it's like it kind of makes sense. Like extrapolating out from the alcohol thing, why social media is so big and why people flock to it, man. Because it's like, it's almost like it helps to create more drama in what people may think of their lives as being boring.
Well,
what I'm saying?
And so richness of life does not equate to flurry of activity.
Yeah.
Right. Like, and I say this just as whatever, some microphone fucking philosopher that's just like whipping this shit up right now, but I think it's really, really true. Like, you're not having more shit. I don't know, quality versus quantity, however you want to put it, but the depth of your life is is something that you determine, and whatever is important to you is important. And that's kind of how I feel, is like kind of an optimistic nihilist stance, right? Yeah. Nothing matters on a long enough timeline, but whatever's important to you is the most important thing. I do believe that. Mm-hmm. And so, as we kind of think through, the way that people are interacting with these platforms, man, it's just the cat is out of the bag. This shit is we had the technology and we built it, but should we have,
Yeah.
And that's I think that's
opening Pandora's box, man.
It's largely true. Where to from here? Mm-hmm. I think the way that we respond to this threat, which it is a fucking threat, mm-hmm. Is going to be really telling. And by the way, I don't think connectivity at this level is bad. As a matter of fact, I think it's really, really good. Mm-hmm. I think what's been bastardized and fucking exploited are these just loops in the way that human beings interact with this stuff.
Well, and to quote the late Uncle Ben, with great power comes great responsibility.
Oh, wait, who is this?
Peter Parker's uncle.
Oh, right. That's exactly right. So thank you, Uncle Ben. And that's a great transition to the next FCC ruling. Which, dude, it's like we always seem to come back towards technology in this podcast, but I mean, there are invisible tectonic shifts that are slowly happening in tech. I tend to think we're fucked, but we'll see. Go ahead. This one is pretty mind-boggling.
Yeah, because and Joseph and I had a little bit, or when we the way that we do the show is, we pull articles over the course of the week, and then we'll have a phone call on Friday to basically solidify the topics that we're going to cover. And so we had a little bit of time on Friday to talk about this and kind of, I don't know, just get some thoughts going and spitball between the two of us kind of thing. But anyway, so face value for this article, it just seems like everybody would just be like, pumping their fists and cheering in unison, because it sounds great. But once you dig a little bit deeper and start thinking into or thinking about what is this going to do, then like, what is this going to open Americans up to, specifically Americans? And like, how are we going to deal with this? But anyway, so I pulled this from Engadget, and it's the FCC ruling will help make smartphone GPS more accurate. So hell yeah, dude, more accuracy for GPS, right? Well, so what they're gonna do is the FCC basically opened up the satellite borders, we'll say, and they're going to allow smartphones, American smartphones, to employ Europe's Galileo system, which is a newer satellite navigation system that was launched by Europe. And so it's I mean, I'm pretty sure it's unequivocally better kind of thing, And but the problem is Europe, and this is what Joseph and I kind of were getting into. Europeans are safe under the GDPR Act, right? It is GDPR, correct?
At least it's not that they're safe.
Or not safe, but there's some kind of protection in place.
Exactly.
For their data.
Or even to address it at an even higher level. Mm-hmm. Philosophically, this is important to them.
Yeah.
And it's just not to the rest of the world right now, right? I mean, it's, or, however you want to put it. Philosophically, it's important to their lawmakers or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Go ahead, though. Go ahead. Which is a great point.
Yeah, but the problem is Americans are not covered under this, And so what Joseph and I were talking about, and it is, okay, so you have this new wave or channel of data that's making its way, because I mean, everything's being monitored at this point in our lives. We have the technology, and so I'm sure that it's being monitored. How these satellite navigation satellites are being used, who's using them, what information is being beamed to the different devices and stuff. And so what it kind of made me think is, it's like, well, obviously we are close enough to Europe in regards to just like the economy. I mean, they rely on us as probably just as much as we rely on them. So having this new wave of data to be able to more effectively market to Americans or do whatever, they see fit kind of thing. It makes me nervous, because it's like, dude, if you don't think a lot of information could be gained from pulling data from, how a navigation system is being used.
Right.
I mean, dude, it's just, yeah, it is. And I think that it will be a good thing, but I'm kind of interested to see. I feel like it's kind of random. Let me put it that way.
Right.
That all of a sudden, it's like, oh, the FCC is not our friend. Let me put it that way. Right. They are supposed to be, but more often than not, they're more proponents of business than the public kind of thing.
Right.
Or the private public. Private public, that didn't make any sense. But anyway, so I'm just kind of wondering what's behind this, I mean, do you think that do you think that I'm thinking too far into this? Do you think that,
no, dude, this is what they let you know.
Well, and that's the other thing. Yeah.
Right. That's it. This is what they let you know. This is not, I mean, we do not live in a world that is open and free. Like for all of the openness that is purported and suggested with the internet and technologies of, the same ilk, right? These technologies that connect us. We don't live in that world, man.
Yeah.
It's just not the way that it works, right?
Yeah.
Like there are misinformation and obfuscating information.
And just complete omission.
It is the
times.
game that governments play. It just is. I mean, quick example. This Khashoggi stuff that we were did you read the latest? So,
or I don't know. I might have heard about it.
The Prince of Saudi Arabia has come out and said that those that murdered Khashoggi, they know who they are, right? Mm-hmm. They have names. They know who the 10 people that were there are. They're going to be tried and executed. Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's fucking walk through this, right? Yet the CIA says that the Prince of Saudi Arabia was the one that ordered it.
Yeah.
This is the way that the world works, right?
Yeah.
Like if you're caught, nobody fucking knows you. You know what I mean? There's no, and by the way, where's the glory for murdering this fucking journalist? Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I mean, and so these people were instructed by their government to murder this guy, did it, and now they're going to be executed.
Yeah.
I mean, and that is the perfect example because somebody's got to burn for it, right?
Yeah.
That's the perfect example of how this shit works at scale around the world, without a doubt. You know, it's like, and you hear this story like again and again with like some what was that? I mean, the movie was fucking garbage, but this story was super interesting. Mm-hmm. The story about like Tom Cruise was in this movie. He was like a pilot, that was hired by the CIA to like fly drugs, to pose as like a.
So it was Tom Hanks.
Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise. I'm sorry.
And it was called The American Pilot or The American or something like that.
Weird, yeah.
And it was a shitty movie.
Yeah.
It was so bad I actually turned it off. But But the story was really interesting. Yeah, American pilot drugs, CIA, Tom Cruise. We're gonna look this up real quick here.
Is it American Made?
American Made. That's it. By the way, Google's insidious, but goddamn, their search engine's so good.
Dude, the algos.
Oh man, the algos, man. I'm just laying back, man, supping on an algo. So anyway, yeah. Anyway, so pretty fucking wild that just lost my place here. Oh, here we go. Yeah, pretty wild that's how it works. So the FCC, allowing these GPS systems to become more accurate, bullshit, dude.
Yeah.
Of course, it's so that they can know what fucking room in the house you're in. Of course,
yeah.
Right. Like there's these two brothers in Los Angeles, Eitan and Gil Elbaz, who are pretty badass, but they actually started the company that became Applied Semantics. Well, I think it was called Applied Semantics actually when they started it. Google bought it, and that company became Google AdWords within Google. So yeah. Google AdWords is responsible for a lot of revenue. Right.
Yeah.
And so they've moved on to other things. Well, Gil Elbaz has started a company called I'm drawing a total blank now. Hang on, give me 2 seconds here.
Yeah.
I've been like a space cadet today. Factual is the name of this company, okay? And Factual is all about geolocation and getting like hyper accurate readings from phones, right? Mm-hmm. And so this is like top of mind for a lot of people because again, you're just a citizen until all of a sudden the government wants something from you or needs something from you or decides that you fucking don't need to be around anymore. Yeah. And when they come for you, fuck yeah, they want to know exactly within 2 inches what, where you are in the room, in the house, in the fucking, on the compound or whatever. I mean, it sounds extreme, man, but like, it's just these systems are great until they turn on you. And we are in a place where you do not determine that. Right? Like your accuser. I mean, honestly, this is coming full circle, right? Having a lack of innocent until proven guilty, right? Like, think about that at scale. Anybody can say anything and you're fucked, right? Now, if the government has like the full weight of an accusation of the meth in your floorboard, or if you're some, and I keep bringing this up, but you're some, black teen in somewhere in South Knoxville or in South Central or whatever, and they pull you over and they just decide to like stick some shit in your pocket. How the fuck are you going to refute that? Like dial it up to scale. You're Daniel Bradley, and all of a sudden you get a letter from the IRS saying you didn't pay your taxes.
Yeah.
So what are you going to do? You're going to go back and you're going to show them that they paid your taxes, or that you paid the taxes, but like ultimately that's not how the fucking system works. Yeah. One quick example that I just want to put like a really fine point on this. The reason, so this is what we know, right? That we're going to have access to these satellites or whatever. And yes, this is important for commerce. And yes, like that's as somebody who plays in technology, that's a really exciting idea, right? That you could whether whole nother story. My wife and I are like experimenting with like charging birds for shits, and it's just a really fucking interesting platform. Which actually I'm going to put that
the bird scooters.
Yeah, the bird scooter. Yeah. So we're gonna.
You're not doing some kind of weird like biological experience,
right? We're not
experiments.
That's right. We're not electrocuting actual, animals from the aviary, from the aviaries. We're not doing that. But And so I'm going to put that on for next week because I'd love to give you guys just a discussion of the economics of these things, if it'd be fun to get into for those that aren't exposed. But my point is, I'm rambling, but my point is that the FCC, like, I see that this is important, and it is awesome that we can objectively we can say that this technology is cool, this technology is interesting, this technology is useful, right? Objectively, we can say it's useful, but there's no way the protection mechanisms suck ass. Yeah. And so you're in the situation where all of this information is being collected on you, could easily be used against you, and people are just like, awesome, yeah, I want you to know where I am because I want you to tell me how close I am to the fucking Boot Barn or to the fucking Macy's. Like, what are you talking about? Or how, when there's like a sale on like fucking Triscuits at Kroger, what?
Well, it's like, dude, it's like these navigation apps that now when you're not moving, it plays a fucking ad.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
And it's like, oh, there's a fucking Bojangles that's, a half mile down the road. Don't you want a Bowberry biscuit right now?
Which that actually does sound mighty fine now that you say that. But so let me just I'll tell this quick story of just a very, very, very like small example of getting stuck in like the government bullshit and just not having the ability to do anything about it. So my wife and I have had numerous businesses, right, throughout our relationship, right? Like when we met, and I was in my mid-20s, I had a couple of businesses. She kind of, helped me run those, and then when we got married, obviously those became part of her assets as well. And so we wound a business down in 2014 or 15. Sold it, gone, whatever. I get a 2014 or 15. I get a bill, right, this time last year from the state of California, saying that I owe them, it's like $1,600, right, in back taxes. Yeah, just fucking absurd because without a doubt we paid our taxes every year because I had receipts, right? Yeah. So I go back and say I have receipts. Right? And they say, receipts aren't good enough. And I'm like, well, what's the fucking point of a receipt? And they're like, you need to show us in your bank account that, like, sure, you sent us the money, but that it was actually deducted.
Wait, and what?
Dude, this fucking happened in 2018, this past year. 2018 has been, like, infinite Mercury retrograde the entire goddamn year. It's been so bizarre. But, like, and so I go to the bank, and I'm like, I need records of this. And they're like, we don't keep records past 2 years. Okay. So I go back and I'm like, they don't keep records past 2 years. And they're like, okay, well, we can send you to collections or you can pay it. So that is just a super simple, and, I'm fortunate enough for that amount of money to not be,
like break you kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, for it to be annoying.
You're not going to be like evicted out of your apartment or something.
Right. It's annoying, but it's not a huge deal. It's just something that we can handle, fortunately, right? But think about that. Fucking $1,600, and just because they say that this is the situation, it is the situation, right? Yeah. And so anyway, my point is, this is like, plus, me,
dude, this could have been
telling you about business ownership that sucked ass. Like, start layering on complexity in someone's situation, and it could get fucking intolerable quickly. And by the way, we're not talking about $1,600. We're talking about your life, right? Yeah. So anyway, go ahead though.
Well, no, that's just I don't understand. Like you said, what the fuck is the point of a receipt if it's not proof that something was paid?
No, she said it was proof that something was received, but not proof that it was actually paid. She said the proof that it was paid would be
that it got deducted out of your account.
Correct.
That is the dumbest shit I've ever heard of.
Correct. So I was like, well, yeah. But I was like, this sounds like a problem, but like an intra-agency problem.
Yeah.
Like you guys don't have...
Why do I have to prove that you guys are doing your fucking job?
That's not the way that it worked. And so they charged me for whatever, $600 or $700 in back taxes and then interest on that. That
is insane, dude.
Yeah. So anyway, every now and again, when crazy stuff like that happens, you just want a little tingle, and I think that this next.
Nice.
Thank you.
Nice.
Thank you. So, who the fuck has heard of autonomous sensory meridian response? Have you?
Sorry, I was listening to some ASMR. Let me turn it down.
That's ASMR in a nutshell, right? Yeah. This is exactly right. Okay, so I could just be a dipshit that's way out of the loop. Admitted, like this, admittedly, like this could be me.
In that case, you're not alone.
But ASMR is fucking wild, dude. So, autonomous sensory meridian response. Let me just read this really quickly. ASMR is an experience characterized by a static-like or tingling sensation on the skin that typically begins on the scalp and moves down the back of the neck and upper spine. It's been compared to auditory tactile synesthesia and may overlap with frisson. What the fuck all that means, I have no idea. But,
dude, are you still speaking English?
No, it sounds like you're describing like a Hobbit meal. You know what I mean? Like, Roto, we'll be having frisson,
We'll be having... Can I get a second helping of frisson?
Can I get a second helping of auditory tactile synesthesia? No, a tall glass of synesthesia. Anyway, so ASMR videos are videos that of people whispering and like scratching on things and just in doing presentations in some videos, and they're like whispering, and then the mic is like has the gain cranked the fuck up, and they're like picking up just like the rustling of the room, and there was
like
this one
your lip coming off of your teeth.
Yeah. It's like it's pretty bizarre. And so I did not post a video, but I'll post an ASMR video.
I think this just proves that there's millions of people that love weed.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. So this ASMR thing, there are tons of creators, right? On YouTube. ASMR is very popular. I'm not gonna it's popular. I don't know if it's very popular, but it's definitely popular. Yeah, and so that's it. Is it's supposed to trigger this reaction? That's this like tingly reaction.
Let me read this real quick, dude. For this article, they're talking about what will trigger some people, in regards to like the ASMR thing. And they said like tasks such as spraying a water bottle, tapping, stirring a bowl of soup, or crinkling wrapping paper. Others are triggered by more elaborate role plays, which can vary from someone acting like a doctor to getting a haircut.
So the haircut was the one that blew my mind. Did I send you this video?
No, I don't think so.
It's called a virtual haircut. And it's this lady with like what's the bidirectional mic called? You know what I'm talking about? It's the same microphone setup that they use for 3D cameras.
Oh, I don't know, man. So you basically get like a 360 sound.
Correct. That's properly oriented.
I don't know what the I don't know what the actual name for the mic. Would be. It's
like I think sometimes gosh, I can't remember, but it's like it's a very particular type of mic, and the mic has the ability to kind of record like the vector of sound properly, right?
Yeah.
The direction of sound properly. And so she was like using one of these mics, and she's like has scissors, and she's like, you know, all around the mic or whatever, right? Yes. Yes. Yes.
You don't realize how many props I have sitting around me.
I know.
I actually, after we wrap up the podcast, I'm going to get my newest ASMR video go.
Yeah. I had to present on it. Don't worry, your secret's safe with me. You know? But these videos have millions of views, and ASMR is becoming really popular. The reason that I brought it up with Daniel, though, YouTube was bouncing these videos because they were like, this is like a fetish thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, kind of it is, you know, it kind of is really. I mean, I'm sure there are people that, you know, definitely get the fuck off to ASMR videos, but
it's just like either listening to a haircut or listening to a haircut be given is synonymous with rubbing the inner thigh.
Does it say that?
No.
Oh. God. I mean, that really would not be surprising at all.
In the least.
So anyway, we're going to post a video, and we'll also post some additional kind of information about ASMR. And then, you know, be sure and tell us what kind of ASMR videos you're into, you know?
Yeah.
So anyway, all right, coming into the home front here. We'll move through this one pretty quickly.
Okay.
But this was an interesting article that Daniel brought to my attention here, and we got into it, and I asked if I could present on it because I thought it was pretty interesting. Basically, RFID tags, right? The same tags that help with everything from, you know, anti-theft on books to you know, to credit cards, to, you know, the ability for credit cards to work within a certain range of a scanner and whatever.
Is this would this be and I'm legitimately don't know, would this be kind of the same technology as like the chip stuff?
Yes.
Or at least similar technology.
You know, there's like near field. There are nuances here that, to be honest, I don't know, and I would have to look it up. But basically, there's like near field technology. I think RFID is like in that category. But but for the purposes of this article, they are using RFID tags to tell you if food is contaminated.
Or spoiled.
Excuse me, misspoke there. Yes, spoiled. And the reason is because the electromagnetic frequencies that you would get off of food that is not spoiled is different than food that is spoiled. And so the reason that I thought this was really interesting is I work in tech, and people have been talking a lot about using like distributed technology to help with food supply chain. Which is largely bullshit at the current. But I think little innovations like this will make it maybe not so bullshit, right? Because you'll be able to track a particular food item, and the way that this particular food item is kind of aging and behaving and or not behaving but changing throughout a process. And then you can take that and you could theoretically register that on a distributed system, and you could start to track it. Now, I mean, I think I am contrarian on this. I think we're fucking 20 years off from this, or 10 years off from this. But nevertheless, I just thought that article was really, really intriguing.
Well, and dude, I mean, like, so if they're able to study, like, for instance, we eat a lot of like ground turkey, and you have like a whatever, like almost like a Best By date, or like freeze or cook by this date kind of thing. And if they're able to watch like the degradation of like a radio frequency and put basically a timer on, you know, meat packaging. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So that they're not just having to mark everything the same. You can look at this and it's like, oh, well, you know, I'd say that those dates would be pushed out more.
It's really awesome. I mean, because you could have an app on your phone that tells you when food is cannot be eaten in your refrigerator. That's fucking crazy, you know? So anyway, that's about all there was to that article, but I thought that was definitely diggable and worth a mention. So that wraps us on episode 24 of Tether Radio. 24 of these buttes. That's that's serious. We can get 6 more in here. That'll be an official rack.
Man, that's kind of crazy because, I mean, 20, what? Well, shit, no, 2 more, and we're going to be at a half year worth of content.
Yeah, totally. And for those that are out there in the interwebs listening to this, we're going to do some kind of tweaking here and there on content. And kind of presentation and whatnot. So we've got some stuff that we're excited about coming up in the next couple of weeks and hopefully into 2019. Yeah. So with that, of course, we love to hear from y'all. Feel free to get at us. tetherradio@gmail.com. TETHERRADIO. Tetherradio, all one word, @gmail.com. We love to hear from you guys. Good things, bad things, things you hate, things you love, general commentary. We will take it all, my friends. On Twitter, you can find us at Tether_radio. Instagram is the same handle, at Tether_radio. And on Facebook, Tether Radio, all one word. I love how we shit talk these platforms, but then we plug the fuck out of them at the end of each episode. You know, but I think that's the important part. That's what's crazy about this.
Yeah,
right?
It's like a necessary evil or something.
Right, we haven't figured out, really how to have a maybe proper relationship with this shit. But anyway, this has been episode 24 of Tether Radio. You could spend your time in a lot of different places, and you chose to spend a little bit of it here with us, and we certainly appreciate it. So I'm Joseph.
And I'm Daniel.
And that was Tether Radio 24. We're going to get back in the kitchen, start whipping up a new batch for next week. Appreciate you guys hopping in with us this week, and we will see you soon. Have a great week.
Have a fantastic week, guys, and see you next Monday.